Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Matthew, Watty's channel. Back in the game room with another special episode. Kind of looking at the schedule of these last couple of weeks, it seems like Mondays are going to be my real chat videos talking about military service. Wednesdays is kind of like a free-for-all, shout-out videos or review of different toy lines, etc. And I think Fridays are going to be my manager tournament videos. Now, I didn't want to break it down like that because I really want to incorporate more videos over the course of a week. Another review video, another real chat video, what have you. So I don't know if I'm going to keep it that route for, the foreseeable future. But at least in the short term, at least those 3 days are going to have videos and what to expect on that particular day. And if I'm able to throw in another video on a Thursday, another video on a Friday or a Saturday, something like that, hey, it's just a nice little bonus, I guess. So, today's video, last week we looked at the WCW Just Toys bendable figures. Today we're looking at a line that I've absolutely fallen in love with the last couple of years. And it's a toy line that meshes beautifully with an already or previously beloved toy line. We all know the Hasbro figures, probably the most beloved toy line of all time. Over the last not even 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, probably starting with the Mattel Retros and moving forward. So many different toy companies have been emulating the 1990 Hasbro style, and today we're going to talk about one such company, and it's one of the most popular companies. So, when you think of Hasbro style action figures, who are you going to? You're going to the big guys, Mattel, with the Mattel Retro line. Now you're going to be following up with another very important toy line, which is Zombie Sailors. Now, another company that fits in beautifully with the rest of them is Hasstel Toys, Grapplers, and Gimmicks. We are going to take a look at some of their carded figures as well as their loose figures, at least the ones I do have. There's probably another one or two that are pre-order right now that I don't have, but when they do come in, we'll probably do a quick review on those as well. So, the one figure I want to start with, and the very first figure that I've ever purchased from Hasstel Toys was Tony Norris, or as I know him, Ahmed Johnson. And I gotta be honest, this is probably my favorite figure from Hasstel Toys. Well, no, let me scratch that. I think he goes neck and neck with Mabel. I think because I love the big guys, I'll probably choose Mabel first. But among the loose figures, this is definitely one of the guys I really want loose that I don't. So that's very disappointing. And some of the things I absolutely love about the figure. First off, the overall look and aesthetics of the figure is amazing. And I don't know why they start incorporating this in a lot of figures, because you see it with a lot of LJN customs. That extra gloss to the figure, the shininess, it really makes figures pop, and it looks absolutely beautiful. Even though they kind of give you like a little design prototype, drawing on the back here, none of these figures come with working action features, but it's nice to kind of think of them in the same way that you would with the working action that Hasbro did. And looking at, I like the little holes or tears or whatnot in the pants. That's great detail. I love that. Fighting pose wise, it looks like an amazing figure for play if that's what you're interested in. As you guys know, I just like these for display purposes, and they're just so much fun. And it gives you a time when you were really enjoying a particular sporting event. Now, I think around 95, I started watching baseball. Later on, 1996, I got a lot more into baseball. 97, I was pretty much baseball heavy. By 98, I was obsessed. So, Cubs, and watching baseball pretty much overtook my interest in wrestling at that time as my new favorite sporting event. The Bulls basically dismantled their dynasty, so basketball was no longer of interest. And I never cared about hockey or football or anything, so Bears and Blackhawks, it wasn't my thing. So kind of rehashing some of these guys that I kind of, grew up watching or, were able to enjoy them for a period of time. Pretty amazing. definitely want to spend as much time on this figure as possible because, like I said, he is definitely one of the most elite figures from this toy line. Next one up, Calm Smoke Train. Now, this is one of the few figures that Charles Wright actually had. Now, Charles Wright, as you guys know, I kind of gave the story in the past when I was doing kind of like a review of different Papa Shango action figures, or as it stands, different Charles Wright action figures. And one of the stories I heard was Vince McMahon that thought that Charles was too much of a pretty boy, essentially. So that's why they kind of put the mask on him, or face paint, and gave him the Papa Shango gimmick, is because it would basically help him parlay the bad guy. And I love the Papa Shango gimmick. I mean, I don't know why it gets so much hate. To me, it's one of the most incredible looks. And I thought Papa Shango was pretty awesome, And, kind of seeing WrestleMania 8 jump Hulk Hogan right after he defeated Sid Justice. Papa Shango was a fun character. Part of the $1 million stable, $1 million corporation. He was Kama Mustafa, if I'm not mistaken. Smoke Train, I really don't know that name. Is that pre-WWF? I mean, was there some other character? Because Charles Wright had about a gazillion different, gimmicks in WWF. Obviously, Papa Shango is the big one. Kama and Kama Mustafa, if you want to switch those up from different time periods. Godfather / Goodfather, back to Godfather. Every time I kind of watch like these latter half of Royal Rumbles, first 20 years compared to like the last 20 years, or when was the first Royal Rumble? 88. So, yeah, we can round it off, call it 40 years almost. We can say 18 and 18 if you want. And they always talk about Goodfather or the Godfather's here. I'm like, who the heck is Godfather? Because I didn't watch him during that time period. He has a pretty awesome looking figure. Like I said, this is just one single variant. It does come with accessory, which is pretty incredible. And I believe this was the first variant I purchased. I could have it backwards, but I kind of gravitate towards the orange and purple a little bit more. So if you are... God, this little stool is like so squeaky. If you are trying to purchase these guys loose off eBay, Andrew Todd Martin, Mabel Toys, he's one of the guys I always talk about as far as purchasing, high quality Hasbro figures. But, again, occasionally he will get other figures in, and sometimes, he'll sell loose figures of Hasstel toys. But those guys, you're really going to have to pay. Even loose figures, you're still looking at $40+ or more for them. So it's like that's what you're paying for a carded figure when it first hits the shop. So kind of going back down to pay $50, $60, $70, $80 for a loose figure later on, I can't do it. I refuse to. But yeah, definitely one or preferably both of these figures loose. I want those as well, most definitely. Kind of keep that collection going strong. And, when you look at, like, Series 3, Big Boss Man, or Greg Valentine, your Series 2 or Series 3, Macho Man, pretty much the same figure. With the right extended arm, and then, the action where he kind of does, like, a clothesline type of deal. It kind of gives you that same feel right there. Same exact figure, same pose for the most part. I think the feet are situated a little bit differently, especially with the right foot as it kind of curves out to the right-hand side. But a fantastic looking figure overall. And what does this say? So this says Hasstel 1 out of 100. So that's nice. Is this one tagged? It is not. Now, there's probably 3 or 4 characters that I always gravitate towards, saying absolutely that these guys should have been made in the 90s when Hasbro had their line out, and it was disappointing you didn't get certain characters. Now, as a kid, because Hasbro, for me, pretty much ended with Series 4 because I never saw anything after that. If I did know about them, like via commercials or something like that, you know, we're 94. I'm 9 years old. I mean, come on. Unless, you know, your mom are taking you to like Toys R Us or something like that, you're never going to see that. And so the British Bulldog, Bret Hart, Undertaker, those are the last figures that we had from Hasbro. But, you know, later on, when you think about it from a collection standpoint, why was there no Mabel figure? Why was there no Diesel? Jeff Jarrett, Godwin, guys like that always kind of like pop up and I feel like are very important characters. Well, I did a video about a Series 12 unreleased Hasbro of figures that should have been made and were never created. One of them was Mabel. So, Men on a Mission had 3 members. The name Mabel obviously will always mean something to me. King of the Ring champion, a brute force in the Royal Rumble. Always fun seeing him and Yokozuna go at it. As a pig, you know, 2 big guys. I don't think I was watching wrestling at the time that he changed gimmicks. Like later on, he'd become Big Daddy Viscera or Daddy V or something like that. Or is that 2 different gimmicks? Big Daddy V or Viscera. And yeah, but this guy right here, Nelson Frazier Jr., to me, he's just simply Mabel. And I've said it before, the Yokozuna Hasbro may not just be my favorite Hasbro figure, it could potentially be my all-time favorite figure, period. And the Mabel figure is just so close to that Yokozuna. I mean, this is a near perfect figure. I'd say 99.9% solid. Well, what's wrong with it? No working action. That's fine. That to me is like a Hasbro thing. And with like WCW what's it called? Toy Biz and stuff like that, where they try to mimic, you know, action features. You know, you push the buttons, the hands move, or, you know, you squeeze the legs and they kind of clap forward. They try to emulate that, but to me, nobody does it better than what Hasbro did. Mabel is... It doesn't have to have that action feature. Nobody uses it, so it doesn't really matter. But it's nice to kind of raise the hands up and then have the arms slap down. But the one thing I do like, you don't have to sit there and worry about, you know, winding up the arms just to get the back in position. You know, you just put them wherever you want it. You don't have to deal with that clicking, so that's nice. The one downside is when you actually look at the figure, kind of like the color scheme, or I kind of have trouble giving a definition of the figure, so I kind of compared it to like clay. It has kind of like a clay look to it, and it's a fantastic figure, but I mean, obviously, if you look at the design of an actual Hasbro and you compare that look to what Hasstel Toys, yeah, it's nice that Hasstel Toys has their own take on these figures and everything, but they're not, you know, they're not comparable to what you're so really accustomed with the Hasbros. And Mattel Retros, you know, they did the same thing. They try to make it comparable to the Hasbros. But Zombie Sailors does their own thing. Hasstel Toys does their own thing. Rush Collectibles is very similar to Hasbro, I think, for the most part. At least as far as look is concerned. But Mabel, what do I talk about? Grip of the figure, right? It's why Yokozuna is such an enjoyable piece. And it's why if I ever one day decide to kind of get into the play action wrestling type of videos, why I think guys like Mabel would be like a constant heavyweight / tag team champion. And I might throw him in as Intercontinental every now and then. Why not? Let him have all 3 belts, maybe simultaneously. It is a fantastic figure. Absolutely love this one. And then we've got Mo. I don't know him as Bobby Horn. I just simply know him as Mo. And you know what? I'm thinking it was the 1994 Royal Rumble because I watched that very recently. And I remember I was so ticked off because it was such a boring match. And I love Royal Rumbles. You know, it's like All-Star Break. I don't really care about the All-Star game itself, but I love home run derbies. People look at it as, well, it's nothing more than, batting practice. But, it's still enjoyable. And you think, like, your tag team matches, your single matches of a Royal Rumble, those are your All-Star game-esque matchups or whatever. And your Royal Rumble is basically your batting practice / home run derby. But that's what I gravitate towards. And that Rumble of 94, I mean, Diesel came in and basically eliminated like 7 or 8 guys. And I hate when they do that. Diesel in the 94 Rumble. I think either 97 or 98 with, what's his name? Steve Austin. I also saw a 2015 Royal Rumble recently where Bray Wyatt did the same thing, eliminate everyone that comes in, and he's standing in the ring by himself for like 10 minutes straight. It's not a lot of fun. I hate that. But I remember when Mo entered his Royal Rumble, and he and Mabel were basically in there together for a while, but I was very impressed at his longevity in that match. I never thought of Mo as like, a decent wrestler or anything like that. But man, he held his own, and it was a lot of fun watching him in there. He's definitely not no freaking bushwhacker that comes in, here, let me guide you over to this side of the ring, throw him out 2 seconds type of deal. So, Mabel definitely has the pristine figure. Because I'm able to physically hold the loose figure in my hand, maybe Mo tops Ahmed Johnson for the number 2 spot. Now, if I actually get that Ahmed Johnson loose one day, I might feel differently, but he's not a 500 or 600 pound guy like Mabel, right? So, but he's a big husky guy, and he has a pretty nice build with this figure. Great fighting stance, fighting pose all around. This is another perfect figure. And Hasstel Toys, with Men on a Mission, they did an amazing job. And I talked about it with one of the last times I looked at this figure. I talked about Mabel would probably be like a heavyweight champion. I'd probably go back and forth. Mo would probably be heavyweight champion every now and then. Why? Because he's just a fun character to use. And I kind of feel like there's certain characters like Macho Man, like Hulk Hogan, like the Ultimate Warrior that, Ric Flair, etc., that Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, they've been champions to death. I want to get the most minor character that you could think of, someone that you would never in a million years expect to contend for the championship. I talk about someone like Billy Jack Haynes from LJN, or what's another fun one? Even Hillbilly Jim as heavyweight champions. Heavyweight champion between King Kong Bundy and Hillbilly Jim going back and forth or something like that. Just kind of goof off and trying to think about these different things. I may never do it, but it's fun to think about. Mo, another incredible piece. Now, the third and final member is Gerard. And I got to be honest, I know there was a third member, but for the life of me, I cannot remember a thing about this guy. And this is your Gerard figure. I mean, pretty solid. He kind of looks like a hype guy. Was he an actual wrestler, a manager? If you guys can fill me in, because I have no idea. I didn't exactly research any of these guys. I didn't feel like I needed to. So, that is Gerard on card. The one thing I kind of like about this figure is that, it does have the little microphone. And it is removable, which is nice. But as you see from the hand position, the arm is like so inward that I couldn't imagine. He'd be like, who LJ and Y does that, where the arm is like so far in like this. It makes it really hard for play. And I couldn't use this if I wanted to do some kind of wrestling. This is an unplayable figure. Yeah, you could do a lot of right hand punches and body slams, sure, but it would get, if I were a kid and utilizing this, or if I wanted to utilize it right now, sure, I'd make some use out of it, most definitely, especially if I was building like a 30-man Royal Rumble match or something, right? But it's not a fun figure that it wouldn't be like a go-to figure for a lot of people. So aesthetically, it looks great. Play-wise, trash. And you know how much I love my play poses. So Gerard. Now, another character that I kind of feel like should have been made. I always talk about the Godwins, but there's one character in particular that I always think about, and that's Henry Godwin. And they call him Mark Canterbury. Now, this is really the only Godwin brother that I actually remember. And, again, what was it, the 94? I'm thinking 94 because that's the most recent one I watched. Actually, no, the 94, and then I watched the 2015 version. But, I hadn't seen that 94 Rumble in a long time, and very little about that Royal Rumble did I actually remember. Even at the end when like Lex Luger and Bret Hart go over the ropes, just the way that they kind of like Lex kind of jump back, and you see the way that Bret kind of falls on him and falls over. I'm like, man, that looks so staged. So they did not do a good job selling that at all. But I think Henry Godwin was either number 1 or number 2. And, he was in there for quite a while. He had a very nice showing. And even though I don't consider him to be like a mega superstar or anything, he was a solid performance all around. And this is one of those characters that could have been Hasbro had the line continued on for another series or two. Now, a really good figure, fantastic fighting pose. I like that it comes with the low slop bucket. That's pretty amazing. Built-in hat, love it or hate it. I love it because, who has time to sit there and remove accessories and risk losing them? I have no problem with the Papa Shango hat on Hasbro, or the Bart Gunn hat, or the Undertaker hat, etc. So, why would I care about this, right? And it adds to the aesthetics, gives you another design, and it looks absolutely amazing. I remember being a little kid. I don't know how old I was, but 8, 9, 10 years old, whatever. And wearing this outfit was like, well, maybe not the farmer look per se, but the overalls in general was like such a popular like outfit for a lot of kids. And I just want to know when that went out of style, because you would think that this look would always be positive. It's just denim. And, little hooks here. You never have to worry about having a belt or anything, so that was pretty nice. But yeah, I used to wear coveralls all the time as a kid, and they were nice. Maybe not to school or anything. I'd probably just wear it around the house or, going out and playing or something. But Godwin, phenomenal piece. Now, this is another Godwin. His name is Dennis Wright, or it could be Dennis Knight. And, again, I don't remember this character at all. I know he's the second Godwin, but I just don't remember the character that well. So he obviously came in after Henry Godwin's character, but then you had the Godwin brothers together. Basically a repeat of the first one. Solid overall piece, very similar fighting pose, not too much the same, but I mean, obviously they're a tag team and they're brothers, Godwins. So yeah, for that purpose, you got to have them have some kind of similarities, right? So not exactly 100% the same, but very nice dual pieces. And as you guys saw, he did come with a little pig accessory, so that's pretty awesome. Now, this right here, it's funny. As a kid, I could not stand people that wore their hats forward. I always thought that wearing your hat forward was like the nerdiest thing in the world, and it bothered me so much. It's like people who wear glasses and do that. I want to punch somebody in the head every time I see them do that. That's like, if you're going to wear glasses, you'll kind of situate it back on your face at the tip or something. But, I hate that. But no, the backwards hat, Ken Griffey Jr. look. That's what I've always loved and coveted as a kid. And I love the fact that they give him this backwards hat. That's fantastic. The only fighting pose wise, his hands are just a little bit too inward. You know, if they were like, I don't know, hands out, just like this or something, it would be a little bit better. Is it a 10 out of 10 for me? No, but it's still an incredible piece and absolutely love it. And, you know, going through these, especially with the individual loose pieces, to get a better feel for the figures, you know, Hasstel Toys is really blowing my mind. They're doing a fantastic job with their action figures. And for whatever reason, I've got this figure loose, but I don't have him on card. But I'm positive I purchased this one when it came out as a pre-order. One thing Hasstel Toys is they're really screwing me over with my purchases because I'm always one of the first people to order immediately when these figures become available. But I always feel like I'm not receiving my figures until like the third or fourth wave or something. So I know I ordered this guy a long time ago. I just so happens I purchased this one right here loose off of eBay. And it is Sav Vega. Now, I don't know what Sav Vega's background was, but like every time I remember him wrestling, he always do like this back roundhouse kick or something, and or he try to pretend he's Shawn Michaels or something with the little super kicks. I don't have a lot of memories of Sav Vega, but the only thing I do remember is that I wasn't a fan. I mean, was he a great wrestler? Probably. But, you know, there's certain characters you gravitate, right? You know, with their charisma and everything. Like, guys like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man. Yes, you would gravitate all day to those guys. Sav Vega, I just don't remember. I didn't have a lot of positive memories. So, to say that he wasn't influential is a true statement. To say that he didn't mean much to me as a character. I mean, obviously, if you hear about Sav Vega dying today in the news, yeah, it's going to hurt because that's someone you watched growing up. You know, he was one of the wrestling superstars. You don't have to be a mega fan to appreciate, like Ric Flair. I will never be a fan of Ric Flair, but I can appreciate, you know, his career. I can appreciate his massive amount of titles in multiple continents. I can appreciate his ability to talk a good game. So what he's done for the wrestling world is amazing. I can appreciate a career without not liking a person. Sav Vega, I don't know anything about him. I'm sorry. He just kind of reminds me of Sergeant Slaughter Series 3 Hasbro. And yeah, it does start with the pointer finger. Fighting pose is very similar to that of Sergeant Slaughter 2, so that's pretty unique, pretty awesome. Good looking figure. I mean, just holding him in my hands, I think that I would utilize this figure a lot as a playable figure. So, I'm not a fan enough to put a championship belt on this guy ever, but I think he would get a lot of use in like Royal Rumbles or something. So that's a pretty adequate figure, nonetheless. Now, we do have one final figure. And this is one of those characters I always talk about. Let's go back. Diesel. Probably the number one character I always talk about, you know, coming out with a new figure. Mabel was always up on that list. Jeff Jarrett. I was never really a fan of Jeff Jarrett. I didn't really care. The Godwins, Isaac Yankem would have been a great one prior to Kane. So, maybe. But another one of those characters I really gravitated towards was Duke the Dumpster Droese. So, Mike Droese, what was he? I think he was like number 30 or number 28 or something. He was like a very late entrant into that 94 Rumble. And I'm probably going to have to come down here one day and just do like a bunch of different WrestleManias and Royal Rumble reviews or something. But it's just finding the time. I started watching WrestleMania 1 like 3 weeks ago, and I made it like through 3/4 of the show or something, and I haven't been able to come back down here and watch the rest because I've just been bored with that WrestleMania. I don't think it's that solid. But if I ever decide to do that review, Oh man, this is a fantastic all-around figure, and so when you look at this figure, you know the junker look with the big thick gloves. That is absolutely amazing, and you know what? What would the dumpster Drosy be without his trash can? So you gotta basically raise these hands up high enough. His fingers do barely slide in there. So you basically gotta have it high up, and you gotta make sure it's stationary because this will easily fall out. But as long as it's stationary, it looks great for a display piece. Mike Drosy might be among the top 5 figures, I think, from this toy line. Mabel, I think, will always be number 1. I'd probably put Mo at number 2, with Ahmed Johnson coming in at a very close 3. And, you know what? As of right now, I think he would probably be number 4. Maybe Henry Godwin, in yellow shirt would probably be number 5. But this is a fantastic piece. Nice punch look. You got the you could utilize the open hand as like a choke slam or something, or some chops, whatnot. Overall quality figure, like it a lot. I don't think Drosy had a whole lot of had a long time period in the WWF, because I remember so very little about him. Like, I remember the look, I remember the name. I can't remember a darn thing about his matchups. And if I hadn't seen that 94 Rumble recently, I would have never even known he even participated in that. So that's why it's awesome to go back and watch some of these old films, either home videos or even getting on like YouTube or something and watching these old matchups, because it refreshes a lot of memories that you once had but you don't have anymore. Duke Drosy, fantastic pickup. Who was it? Not Carlos Colon, but I believe it was a Colon that I picked up recently. Well, not recently. I probably ordered it probably a month or 2 ago, 3 months even, off Hasstel Toys. But like I said, man, all those pre-orders, they take forever. And even though I'm like one of the first buyers, I feel like I'm one of the last people to get them. Like Sav Vega, how are people selling loose Sav Vega figures on eBay when I ordered mine pre-order and I haven't even gotten my card figure in yet? So with my purchases, Hasstel Toys is really dropping the ball. But at the end of the day, I continue to buy them because their figures are absolutely amazing. Are they the quality of Hasbro? They're very comparable. So maybe not as, because of my nostalgia and my familiarity with those figures, yeah, they will always be number 1. But I think Zombie Sailors is a very close 2, and these guys at number 3. You know what? They, I kind of feel like Hasbro is Boeing. And so if Hasbro is Boeing, and you think of like Zombie Sailors and Hasstel Toys, they're probably like Lockheed Corporation and Martin Marietta. And of course, when those two companies combined to become Lockheed Martin, they were supposed to threaten Boeing for the most aviation finances. When your number 2 and number 3 join up to overtake number 1. But come on, nobody will ever take Boeing over for aviation. But that's just kind of how I envision these figures. So I will probably post this on Wednesday. So I'll have this up Wednesday morning. Friday will still be the next episode of the manager tournament. I got some more figures in from Harvey Snuts on Mercari. Hulk $0125. So I probably got in maybe close to 20 figures from him. You already seen a couple of his customs during the manager tournament, and you're going to see a bunch more of his managers that are going to be participating in that tournament. So if not this week, then probably by next Wednesday, when I do my Wednesday special, that I'll probably make that episode. I don't know if I want to include all of them or just the non-managers, because I want the managers to be like a special first-time viewing when you do see them in those tournaments. Well, if that's next Wednesday's episode, then kind of gives you an idea of what to look forward to. In the meantime, guys, that will close out this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I will talk to you in the comments and see you in the next episode. Goodbye, everybody.